Good morning. Guten Morgen as it'd be in German, but good morning in American. We're going to talk about UFOs today. UFOs are unidentified flying objects. I'm going to identify some of those flying objects for you today. Now, you shouldn't expect to see what Hollywood's putting out there. If you think what's in those flying objects is ET and little green men from Mars, no, that ain't it. I seriously doubt it because I think God created this civilization on Earth and nowhere else. I don't think there's another creation that He created of human beings or similar to human beings out there. Why? Because in the end, it all comes back to the earth. Satan, the angels, everything, all the war, everything comes back to the earth. I don't think God would let man populate the universe and the planet systems as evil as they are today without Satan unchecked. I really don't think so. I think that the planets in the solar system, I think all those will be populated one day, but they'll be populated by the church, by the bride of Christ, by the saved saints, by the people that are children of God. I think God will send people out to populate other planets. Yeah, I do. But we're fixing to give you several scriptures that tell you what these UFOs were, what these unidentified flying objects. Well, if God can create a human body and can create all the things that He created, and believe me, God created everything. Satan created nothing. God created light, dark, good, evil. He created it all. If He can create something as complicated as a human body and all the things that He's created, do you not think He can create a machine that is super? Something way far beyond our intelligence? Do you think He hasn't created machines? Yes, He's created machines. He's created weapons of war. God is the great creator. Now, first one we're going to talk about Enoch. Enoch was translated, the Bible says, he was caught up by God. God loved Enoch a lot because Enoch loved God a lot, and he was faithful to God. So if you would, Teresa, turn to 2 Kings chapter 2, verses 11 and 12, Teresa. We're going to read a little bit about it.
And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces.
Now Enoch was caught up, and what it's talking about here is Elijah. The prophet Elijah. He was caught up, and Elisha was standing there with him. Now Elisha, he wanted a double portion of what Elijah had, and he ended up getting it. He ended up doing twice the things Elijah ever did. But Elijah was caught up. And you got to realize, these people back here thousands of years ago, they weren't familiar with machinery. The only machinery they had was chariots. And the biggest chariots they had was iron chariots by the Philistines. But they had wooden chariots. They had horses that pulled them. And anything that was a vehicle that hauled around people or carried people was a vehicle. It was a chariot. That's what they used for something that would haul things and move about, was a chariot. Well, is it possible that there were flaming horses and a flaming wooden chariot that caught up Elijah? Yeah, it's possible, but it's not probable. Now, what they saw was a machine. They saw an unidentified flying object, and they couldn't identify it neither, so they called it a flaming chariot and flaming horses. Why? Because it was a vehicle that transported people, and it moved quick. Okay, we're going to go on over. Heather, go to 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 14 through 17.
Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host, and they came by night and compassed the city about. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha.
Now, he opened his eyes to the spirit world. If your eyes could be open to the spirit world right now, it would be a shock for you because you'd see a lot of those things. Are they literal horses and chariots? I don't know. That's what they described them as. I think they were vehicles. I think they were flying objects, and they were flying objects because they were objects that flew. Now, the mountain was full of them. If you could just see what's in this universe and actually what's actually in this room, if you could see the spirits and see into the spirit world, you would be shocked. There's a lot of spirits everywhere, and that's what they saw. Those were transportation UFOs. They picked up people and hauled them away. I'm fixing to tell you now, or Jake's fixing to tell you about what God called the Hornet. Now, this Hornet, I believe, was a weapon formed by God. I believe it was a weapon that God used against the enemies of Israel and against the enemies of David. Now, an old man at church once said God stirred up all the hornets in the land and they went and stung them all to death. I don't think so. Bible tells one time about an angel that slew 42,000 men in one night, the enemies of God. One angel, 42,000 men. He also mentions the hornet. Is the hornet an angel or is the hornet a machine, a weapon, an unidentified flying object? What is the hornet? Jake, read us Deuteronomy 7, verse 20.
Moreover, Lord thy God will send the hornet among them until they are left and hide themselves from thee, be destroyed.
Okay, a little bit more about the hornet. Go to Joshua chapter 24, verse 12.
And I sent the hornet before you, which drave them out from before you, even the 2 kings of the Amorites, but not with thy sword nor with thy bow.
God used that hornet. Was a hornet an angel? Was a hornet a weapon, a machine? We don't know, but I'd say it's probably a machine that God created. Go on over to Teresa. Go to 2 Samuel chapter 5, verses 22 through 25. Now, this is King David. King David is fighting against, I think it's the Philistines. He fought against a bunch of enemies of God. Most all of them were Canaanites. But David was fixing to go fight the enemy. And he asked God, should I go out now? And here's what God told him about it. Read that, Teresa. 2 Samuel 5, 22 through 25.
And the Philistines came up yet again and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, Thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them, and come upon them over against the mulberry trees. And let it be, when thou hearest the sound of a going in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then thou shalt bestir thyself. For then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. And David did so, as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba unto Thou come to Gazer.
Now, whatever the thing was above the mulberry trees was pretty powerful. It went and wiped everything out. There are several occasions in the Bible that I've read where God said, hey, y'all just stand still. Y'all just wait. I'm going to send out and destroy everything before you, and all you got to do is go pick up the spoils. And that's what happened. So God can create some powerful machinery. Powerful machinery. People call them unidentified flying objects. But we're going to read one more here. Heather's going to read it. It's Ezekiel chapter 1, verses 4 through 28.
And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself. And a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went, and they went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward, whither the Spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I beheld and the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures, with his 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl. And they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went upon their 4 sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them 4. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. When those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of the terrible crystal, stretched forth over their heads above. And under the firmament were their wings straight, and one toward the other. Every one had 2 which covered on this side, and every one had 2 which covered on that side, their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads, when they stood and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, and as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. And I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of God, glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake.
Okay, what you're describing there, what he's describing, you got to go back and realize that about all they had seen was animals, horses, cattle, goats, chariots, maybe a wagon or 2, horses, but they had never seen anything like we have seen today. And what we have seen today is nothing like what's fixing to appear. He's trying to describe what he's seeing. And it's hard to describe machinery if you've never seen machinery. It's hard to describe a flying object or a spaceship if you've never seen a spaceship. So you describe it in the terms that you know. It was a chariot. It was flaming. Wheel inside of the wheel, what does that tell you? What does that look like? Also, the eyes that were round about the whole thing. To me, that says that was windows. Windows. And there was light coming out of those windows. To him, it looked like eyes. What would you describe it? He didn't know how to describe electricity and glass, and he described what he saw to the best of his ability. Now, we as Christians need to realize that was more than likely a machine of God. And who was sitting above that machine of God? God himself. Because he spoke to him. It tells you right there the glory of God. So what you have is maybe there were other worlds created. God's a creator, and he creates as he pleases. Could he have created other life on other planets? Yes, he could have, but I don't think he did. Now, what are in all those flaming chariots and all those machineries that are flying around? They've seen them today. The government knows about them. They ain't going to say much about it because they're scared. And they're scared it will scare the people. But let me tell you something. There's thousands of angels. Thousands and thousands of angels. A third of those angels left heaven with Satan. They're bad angels. Do they have a means of travel? I'm sure they do. Do the angels of God have a means of travel? And does God have a means of travel if he wants to? Yes, he can. You just think he's just out there floating around in space? No, I'm sure he's probably got quite a few things he's created for his convenience and for his use. Now, the Bible tells you God came from Teman in one place, and that's when he comes back at the second advent with thousands of angels and 20,000 chariots of God. So we know there's at least 20,000 chariots of God out there. There's, and how many the devil and his bunch have, I don't know. I don't know whether they have them or not, but I'd say they probably did. Probably stole them from the good angels. But not only are there angels out there, and angels don't have wings, okay? Angels do not have wings. There's nowhere in the Bible that has ever said angels have wings. They appear as men. They always appear as young men. Everywhere you read in the Bible, it said, be careful, you may entertain angels unawares. Well, if they were sitting there with a couple big old white wings on their shoulders, I think you'd be aware they were angels. But they're not. They look like us. So, not only do you have the angels, you have the cherubim, and you have the seraphim, and you also have the four beasts before the throne of God that worship him day and night and say nothing but holy, 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 holy. So you have all those things. So when you see people saying angels have wings and all, that's just another lie by the Catholic Church. And that's one thing I want you to be aware of. Do I hate Catholics? No. Do I hate any of them? No. They're just ignorant when it comes to the Word of God. When they can put their faith in an idiot like the Pope Leo, what a joke. That sucker, he's almost ready to agree with sexual perversion. He's ready. He's talking about we should take in the immigrants and just love them. Let the immigrants learn to work. Let the immigrants take care of their own land. Let them take care of their country. Let them go back home. But the Pope wants to bring them over here. Why? Because so he can sucker them into following him. Well, you don't ever follow a man. You follow Jesus Christ. And when a pope or a priest tells you to follow them or do what they say, ignore them. They are liars. There's no wings on angels, and there's no perversion with God. So all the Catholic Church has done is lie for years and years and pervert the truth. Now, the government is not going to tell you the truth on UFOs. One day we're going to find out. We're going to find out real soon. And don't be shocked, because there are unidentified flying objects, and there is life out there besides us. I don't think it's no little green men. I don't think it's no ETs, but I know for sure it is angels, good, bad, and ugly.